Hello folks, let's go and start talking about the external table. What is the external table? So far the way that we extract the data, we store the data in our Oracle database tables, and then we extracting the data back from a table in database. Now let's consider another scenario. How about if we have a data set, a set of data as a text file inside operating systems such as Linux or Windows, and then we prefer that Oracle take those data and put them in a table, and the user can use those data. This method of extracting the data, we call it external table. By the way, the external table, there are so far this semester in ITS 1345, ITSE 1345, you're going to learn how to take the data from a flat file and pull it to the database. And in Advanced Oracle, the second course, ITSE 2354, you will learn how you can write the data that you have inside a table or table back to a flat file in the OS or operating system file system. But anyway, now we are talking about the external table, and only you read the file from a flat file, bring it to a table. Let's go and start with the example. There are a couple examples that we have to follow up. The first one is going to be that you have to have the privilege to create a directory. If you don't have a privilege to create a directory, you'll not be able to proceed this feature. After you have the sysdba grants you the read to the directory, after even that he going to give you the right to read data from a directory, you have to have a grant permission to read the data from a directory that's created by privilege of that directory, gave it to you by the sys user, and now you're using. Let's go with the example so it's better to understand. Currently I'll give the privilege to log in as sys, and then I gave the privilege to student DE54A11 to create a directory. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy this code and try to go back to Oracle, and I'm going to log in SQL. Let's say DE54A11. Okay, I'll log into this user DE54A11. Now I'm pasting that one. I want create a directory as empdir, and then I'm going to copy the other portion of it, the path of that directory, which is home student DE45A11 empdir, and then I'm going to copy the path too. Then I press enter. Directory is created. Now let me be sure that directory is created. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to selecting this one, select asterisk from all directory where my directory is empdir, and I'm going to set the set line size to 150, so it just putting everything in a single line, and then I'm going to execute it, and I'm going to see yes, it create the owner of this empdir is the sys, but DEF54A11 has the privilege to create a directory, and the directory is located at my account, a subdirectory empdir. So in fact, if I ls, I'm going to see that I have a empdir directory. Now let's go to the next step. The next step after we did that one, I suppose to have the permission to read from that directory, and currently I gave that permission. You have to log in as sys. You don't have any privilege as sys. your DBA should give you the privilege to log in as give you the right to read from a directory. Step 3. Step 3, we're going if there is a current table exists external table, we're going to drop it. If it's not, just we start creating that one. So what I'm going to do right here, if you're going to see create a table old EMP, and the component item that exists or column that exists in the old EMP is going to be employee NO, which is number, employee name, which is varchar, and also the birth date, which is the data type. Organization that you're using, these are external, these are reserved word. So let's put it this way, if you want to create a directory, you have to follow all this step, except you may change the column of a table that you try to create. That's the only privilege that you have. Then you don't have any right to mess up with any part of the data, except when you're coming right here again, the same component that you're using right here, you're going to using right here. And finally it's going to be the emptxt file, which is this is a flat file in the Unix operating system. So let me go over this one again. Create table name. I want to create this column, I want to create this column, and I want to create this column for my external table, which we name it old EMP. Organization of this table is external table. Type Oracle loader, default directory. My directory that I created empdir. Notice that empdir right here is lowercase. If you put it lowercase or uppercase, it does not matter, because Oracle by default create a directory with the uppercase. If you notice, when I check that one, I check with the uppercase. Any data, any object that created in the data dictionary, by default Oracle converted to the uppercase. Okay, so right here, access parameter, proceed delimiter by the new line. It means that read line by line when you're reading records. Field terminate by a comma. I mean any item that I have terminated by a comma. For example, right here I have the first column is 10, follow up by comma, follow up by the next column, follow up by comma, and right here if you notice, the delimiter is new line. So right here is break up to the new line. So this is the definition up to right here. However, right after this in your book, you noticing that Oracle gives you some other option, such as bat file, log file. I'm going to recommend you do not create those two files, especially in the Unix. In Windows is easier, but in Unix, because Oracle has to have access to your directory to create a log file and a bat file, and most of the time, because Unix limiting on the privilege, it's going to give you a hard time, and it's going to say I don't have privilege in your directory to create a bat file or a log file for your activity. So what I did, if you notice in the example that I create, I eliminate these two columns totally, and I said okay, by new line, and field terminator, we already spoke about this one. Then follow up by the same set of the component that I have right here. I'm gonna have employee varchar, employee name char, and birthday is char, data type format, because this data that we're reading from right here, this data, the format of this data is a string. So what we're going to do, we're going to say okay, mask the data right here. So char data format, let me put him to the next line so you can see it better. And you're going to see that I said data mask the data for me in the format of 2 digits of the day, follow up by abbreviation of the months with the D uppercase, first character uppercase or lowercase. This is right here lowercase, it could be uppercase, and follow up by 4 digits of the years. So what I'm going to do from right here, I'm going to copy and bring it up to this point. Copy this one, go to my directory, and right here paste it to the DEF54A11. So at this point I create a directory, and I can go describe that directory, and I'm say old EMP, and you're gonna see that it show me yes, you created directory EMP-NO, employee name and birthday and their data type. So up to this point we create a directory. The next thing that we have to do, the option 4, I have to create a file at the subdirectory EMPDIR. Why subdirectory EMPDIR? Because right here I said created for me, and when you taking the path from root, home, student, DE54A11, EMPDIR. This is a subdirectory. So for this reason I'm going to create a file with the EMPTXT, and this EMPTXT is the file that location I specify EMPTXT. So currently Oracle create a directory, let's say pointing to a directory EMPDIR, and looking for a file such as emp.txt. Okay, so step 4, we're going back to VI and try to create this file. Currently I create this file, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say bank and paste this one. So what you're going to do, you're going to open the file, and you're going to see that I have 2 rows of the data, and from right here you're going to see, if you're going to see, this is a column separator, and from right here to right here is very important that it is totally 20 digit. So let me see, can I show you in this? Doesn't allow me to show you the size of it. Anyway, the size of this one should be 20, no more, no less. The size of this line should be 20, and there are always a comma is a separator between each of those. So I'm going to write and create this file. Now I have my file too. The next step that I have it right here, I have to go select the data from old EMP, and now if I'm going to say select asterisk from old EMP, is supposed to give me those 2 rows of the data, and now it gave me difficulty. Let me see why. A log file cannot be okay. So see, as I told you, you're always generating a form of arrow, and what I'm going to do, I'm going back, because again it tried to go to my directory and it cannot access to my directory. So I'm going back right here, cd1 level, cd dot, and I'm going to say change mod to 777 DE54A11. It does not allow to go to directory. ls, yes, so cd on one more time, and again ch mod to 777 my emp dir. And also I'm going to change this one. Now I'm going to exit and back to Oracle and list and say how about now. See, there you go, and it ran the result. So it may give you a problem because it does not have the read and write, the read permission. When it does not have a read permission, and if you noticing, it try to generate a log, and that's caused the error. Let's see, ls empdir, and you're going to see that yes, it's creating the old, bad, good, everything it created by default. So that's the way that you can create a directory. As I said, next semester we're going to learn the reverse of this scenario. When you're taking the advanced Oracle, we're reading the table, and after we read the table, we try to write it to a flat file, and we can create a directory everywhere. And in that scenario, for example, I may read a table and generate a result of that table as a HTML file or as a XML file, and I store it in my let's say browser website, or let's say the home page, and then user they can extract those data. Anyway, that's this portion of creating external